The name's Bondi. Pam Bondi. I wanted so badly I didn't have time to make a graphic with her and the gun and the, dun, 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 dun. I didn't have it, but maybe next week. It looks like she's going to be the next Attorney General, so we have plenty of time to make Pam Bondi memes over the next 4 years or so. Man, I'll tell you what a crazy day yesterday was. I'll be honest with you. I've never been proven wrong so quickly as I was yesterday during the program. While I was doing the show, I'm just sitting there minding my own business, reporting the truth, telling everybody how Matt Gaetz is going to sail through confirmation, which I still believe there could have been. Actually, I think what I said was, and I have to go back and check the tape. I don't have any producers anymore. It's just me, and I just don't have time to go back and listen to myself, although I really enjoy going back and listening to myself. It used to be one of my favorite things to do. But yeah, I think I said something along the lines of all of Donald Trump's cabinet picks will sail through confirmation, I believe, and there won't be the need for recess appointments, which technically could still be true because Donald Trump changed one of his picks pre-confirmation. So I still believe that I'm in the right, and I still stand by my words. Now, yesterday, what happened with Pam Bondi, what happened with Matt Gaetz, and if you missed it, I don't know where you've been, but right around 12:30 yesterday, Matt Gaetz removed himself from consideration for the Attorney General. He said it had become a distraction. He said that, in fact, I'm going to pull up the exact quote because it's actually very important to what I wanted to discuss today. What Matt Gaetz said was it has become a distraction to the entire process, and here it is right here. Check this out. Matt Gaetz, I had excellent meetings with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump/Vance transition. There's no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. Now, pair that with what President Trump said, and President Trump said something very similar. He said, I greatly appreciate the recent efforts of Matt Gaetz in seeking approval to be Attorney General. He was doing very well, but at the same time, did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. Matt has a wonderful future, and I look forward to watching all of the great things he will do. Now, that remains to be seen what the plan for Matt Gaetz is, but I believe that Matt Gaetz has something up his sleeve. I believe that this is not the end of Matt Gaetz. I mean, there's nowhere near. Matt Gaetz is way too talented and way too important a conservative politician to just hang it up and call it quits. Matt Gaetz and President Trump and the rest of the MAGA movement have big plans for him, no doubt. However, it's not being Attorney General anymore. Attorney General looks like it's going to be Pam Bondi. And we're going to get into all that here in just a minute because there's so much to dissect when we're talking about Bondi. Pam Bondi. Sorry. Sorry. That was a pathetic gunshot. That was a really pathetic gunshot. We're going to get to all that in just a minute, like I said. But first, we have a very special guest coming up later on the program. America's Congresswoman, Kat Cammack from District 3 here in Florida. She is she's right in the middle of all this stuff. And I'll tell you why. Here's District 1 with Matt Gaetz. Here's District 6 with Mike Waltz. Both of them are gone. 2 open seats. Right in the middle is Kat Cammack, District 3. And she's like the chairperson of the board of people whose job it is to figure out who's going to fill those spots. So we're going to chit chat with her a little bit about all that. Plus, I'm really curious which bathroom she's going to be using in Congress, and I want to make sure she knows she can no longer go in the men's room. Not that she's ever been in the men's room, but Nancy Mace is going to be standing there with a pitchfork, and if any woman tries to go in the men's room, or more importantly, any man tries to go in the ladies' room, Nancy Mace is going to be right there. Plus, we're going to talk about this Doge caucus, which our good buddy Aaron Bean. I'll tell you what, every time I say something about something, it has to do with Florida. I don't remember a time in history where one state has been so inundated or ingrained into the national political atmosphere. And we talk about this all the time. President Donald Trump lives in Florida, West Palm Beach and Mar-a-Lago. Susie Wiles, whose daughter we spoke with yesterday, Kaye, which, by the way, that interview's up on our YouTube right now. If you haven't seen it, it was great. She's such a down-to-earth person. We got such an insight into her mom. The real Susan Wiles, not the one that the media portrays. But anyway, Susan Wiles is from right here in North Florida. Then you've got Secretary of State Marco Rubio, also from Florida. You have Attorney General now Pam Bondi from Florida. You have National Security Advisor Mike Waltz from Florida, and there's still more positions left to fill. So it really is interesting how this state has taken over kind of the national culture. And again, you have to pat Ron DeSantis on the back for doing that, because Ron DeSantis is the one who said, look, President Trump, I need help getting elected. I want to turn Florida into what you did for the United States of America. And dadgummit, they did it together. So that's very exciting. Hopefully they have a long relationship still to go. And speaking of Donald Trump, I know it may be a little early for Christmas shopping, but if anyone was thinking about getting me something, if anyone's like, gee, I wonder what Mark Kaye would like for Christmas, or, hey, I thought I would reward my favorite online talk show host with a little gift. I found something yesterday that I think would be perfect for me. It's the President Trump electric guitar. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm so glad I didn't get the watch, although the watch would have been cool too. But look at this, President Trump guitars. Introducing the limited edition American Eagle guitar series, available in acoustic and electric, the only guitar officially endorsed by President Donald J. Trump. These beautiful guitars feature the iconic phrase, "Make America Great Again," and they do, right in the fretboard. Look at this, right in the fretboard. If you look at that, it says "Make America," well, you can't see the whole thing, but it's got "Make America Great Again" ingrained right there in the fretboard, which is fantastic. They also have these ones here. Look, there's an autographed version, which is the autographed version is $11,250 of the electric. If you want to get the autograph, there he is writing on it. He's got the gold Sharpie. If you want the autographed President Trump guitar, then it's $11,250. Look, I once autographed books with a gold Sharpie. Didn't work out that well because people couldn't see it. It rubbed off. People were complaining. So I don't know that I would spend the additional $10,000 for the autographed version, when for $1,500 you can just get the regular old electric. You save $10,000 and just go for the regular old one. I don't think you need. I think the "Make America Great Again" and the Eagle, and look at this design. It's really, this is, you want to talk about cutting on a what do you call it? Sawn? They call it something. Anyway, I forget what it is, but whatever. If you want to talk about really making some great American music, you really need the Donald Trump guitar. So yeah, and it's one size fits all. I'm not saying you have to get it, but if you were like, what would Mark Kaye like for Christmas? That would look great under my tree or in my stocking, or you know what? Hang it on the wall. We'll make room. We'll move the banjo-lele out, and we'll make room for the Donald Trump guitar. Anyway, that's just, or if you want something for yourself, that's another great gift that you can look at. All right, coming up in a minute, like I said, we're going to chat with Kat Kamak. Also, speaking of gifts, man, we have been, you know what it is? The closer we get to Christmas, the more of these we sell. And Black Friday is next Friday. We're a week away from Black Friday. I can't believe Thanksgiving's already next week. November just flew by. I feel like it was just 2-3 weeks ago we were hanging out at Sneakers Sports Grill in Jacksonville Beach, watching the election returns, waking up to find out that President Trump was indeed going to be the next president. And now all of a sudden it's Black Friday. But if you have not yet purchased your copy of The Untold Story of Christmas, these are the perfect gift. If you want to get into the Christmas spirit, if you want to get into that holiday spirit, this will do it. It's the story of Jesus Christ from a different point of view. It's the birth of Jesus, the beginning of Christmas, but in a way that you've maybe never heard it told before. And it's an instant classic. Everyone that loves it, or everyone that buys it loves it. There's tons of comments on the website. In fact, you know what? While we're talking about it, why don't I just go to the website and show you, look, this is the Christmas story that has never been told until now. Oh, here, Michelle from Queens, New York just bought one. Doreen, I received my 2 books. So excited. I'm wrapping one for my mother-in-law for Christmas. The other one is for my household. Mary Alice Tony, I loved the book. The illustrations are so good too. The cover is so elegant. Paula, received my copy yesterday. Read it immediately. Very inspirational. Now part of my Christmas tradition and decoration. So The Untold Story of Christmas is available to be mailed out now. You can get it. You can read it. You can give it to your kids. You can get multiple copies. You can give them as gifts. And everyone's going to love them. It's truly a cool story, and it will become part of your tradition. At least my hope is. My hope is that it becomes part of your holiday tradition. Go to the Untold Story of Christmas.com. All right, so let's chat a little bit about Pam Bondi. So yesterday, after President Donald Trump announced that Matt Gaetz was no longer in the running, he then announced that he had replaced Matt Gaetz with Pam Bondi. And he wrote here on Truth Social, "I am proud to announce former Attorney General of the great state of Florida, Pam Bondi, as our next Attorney General of the United States. Pam was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years, where she was very tough on violent criminals and made the streets safe for Florida families. Then, as Florida's first female attorney general, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl overdose deaths." Very, very important. "For too long, the partisan Department of Justice has been weaponized against me and other Republicans. Not anymore. Pam will refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. I have known Pam for many years. She is smart and tough and is an America First fighter who will do a terrific job as Attorney General." Now, at first, I was like, Pam Bondi's cool. Pam Bondi's a good pick. I was still reeling a little bit from Matt Gaetz removing himself from contention, or the swamp winning and being able to beat back Matt Gaetz, which always infuriates me. Whenever the swamp wins and conservatives lose, I get a little a little bit of piece of me dies inside, and I get really riled up. But, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I like Pam Bondi as a pick. I mean, being from Florida, I'm familiar with her work. I know that she successfully defended President Donald Trump in his first bogus impeachment. And what really sold me, though, I every time I think about it, I like it more and more. But what really sold me on it, because like I said, I wasn't freaking out about Pam Bondi at first until I saw MSNBC freaking out about Pam Bondi. And then I was totally on board.
Pam Bondi is exactly what I was saying in the last segment that we should all fear, because she's competent. We may not agree with her ideologically, but she actually knows how to do this job. So if anyone on the Democratic side or anyone who cared about liberty or justice was thinking, well, maybe Matt Gaetz will screw this up and that'll give us some time. No, Pam Bondi knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing about immigration. Remember, Florida is one of those states that's been very aggressive about migrants and deportation and moving people to different states and everything else like that. Florida has enacted all sorts of rules and laws to curtail students and what they can do on campuses and finding legal justifications for manipulating education money. She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz, even with the deplorable moral background that he has.
Yeah, and I want to discuss that with a little more depth with both of you, including her record.
I think we're done. We now have a dangerous and effective pick, even more so than what we would have gotten with Matt Gaetz and his deplorable moral background that he wanted to throw in there. But that's how the left is freaking out about Pam Bondi. They're right now going, oh my gosh, give me Matt Gaetz back, because they thought Matt Gaetz, okay, he's shocking, he's offensive. Matt Gaetz, he's totally hell bent on destroying the deep state and going after Donald Trump's political adversaries. But the elitists on the left felt that Matt Gaetz was inexperienced. They felt that he couldn't actually lead or manage the team at the Department of Justice, and that he would fail miserably in his task. And they were all just looking forward to that. Well, now they have Pam Bondi, who is a proven leader, a proven attorney general for a large state like Florida, someone who has gone in and changed the culture of a Justice Department, someone who has gone in and fought criminals and fought drug dealers and enacted laws and attacked these woke ideologies on college campuses. And now they're freaking out because she's dangerous and effective.
She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz.
And probably she will sail right through the Senate confirmation hearings because, as we know, Matt Gaetz was short by 4 or 5 votes. And I can't imagine that Donald Trump would make another decision like this without knowing that this one was going to go through. Because if you look at the two announcements, the one from President Trump and the one from Matt Gaetz, there's something very similar between the two. The two things that I noticed was they both mentioned time. They mentioned, especially Matt Gaetz, he said President Trump and J.D. Vance's DOJ has to be ready to go on day one, because President Trump doesn't have a lot of time. He's got 4 years. This is his second term. There is no 8 years of Donald Trump. Hopefully there'll be 4 years of Donald Trump and then 8 years of J.D. Vance or some other qualified MAGA conservative, but we don't know for sure. And with just 4 years to go, Donald Trump, it's tick-tock, man. From day one, as soon as he takes his hand off of that Bible, he needs everybody in place and ready to go so that they can start executing his agenda and making America great again. And it is every minute counts. Every minute, every hour, every day for the next 4 years. And really, it could be even less. Why? Well, there's midterm elections. And the midterm elections sometimes see a change of power, a shift, if you will, especially in the House of Representatives, where there's a slim majority right now by Republicans. And usually what we've seen in the past, what history has taught us is the ruling party loses control of the House of Representatives in the midterm elections. And the midterm elections are 2 years away. So President Trump may only have 2 years to get some of his biggest puzzle pieces in place. He may only have 2 years to get some of his biggest pieces of legislation and his accomplishments and his desires rammed through Congress and the Senate, because in 2 years, there's going to be a brand new group of people in the House of Representatives, and we can't guarantee that they're all going to be on Donald Trump's side. I mean, hell, they're not now. There's so many rhinos in the Congress. There's so many centrists in Senate. I mean, that one of the reasons, and again, we can look at the negative side of this. We can look at the positive side of it. I like to look at John Fetterman's side of it, because John Fetterman is quickly becoming, he's quickly becoming my favorite Democrat. And that's a really short list. There's John Fetterman. I think that's it. I think the list includes John Fetterman. That's it. But John Fetterman is quickly becoming my favorite Democrat, because he was asked outside of the Capitol building what he felt about Matt Gaetz. What he felt about Matt Gaetz withdrawing his name from consideration. Here's John Fetterman talking to the media yesterday.
Holy shit, I didn't see that coming.
Oh.
I mean, yes, he was the ultimate troll, and people have the opportunity. They can freak out over things and respond. And if you want to do that, you don't have to. You better pace yourself, though, because it's not even Thanksgiving. And we don't have to react and take unserious things so seriously that the world's going to spin off its axis the way it is right now. But I just heard something. I heard that Trump is going to issue a new silver dollar to commemorate that. So I think that's going to be the next cycle.
I love President Trump is going to release a brand new silver dollar to commemorate Matt Gaetz withdrawing. No, you know what he's doing? He's actually selling guitars. The American Eagle Guitar Series, limited edition, the only guitar officially endorsed by President Donald Trump, available in acoustic and or electric models. If you'd like the hand-signed version, add an additional $10,000 at checkout. So that's John Fetterman. John Fetterman has this sarcasm that I believe is missing in all of Congress. And he goes, look, you guys can't be freaking out about it. First of all, didn't we all see this coming?
Holy shit, I didn't see that coming.
Oh.
And then also, you can't freak out about every little thing, because it's not even Thanksgiving. We haven't even started the Trump administration. So Democrats, calm the you-know-what down. Calm the Fetterman down, is what John Fetterman's saying. And he kind of actually has a point. But anyway, back to Pam Bondi. So Matt Gaetz, and again, the way we heard, look, there's been multiple reports as to how this happened. There's been multiple reports about how this went down. And the consensus seems to be that Matt Gaetz went to, Senate. We all heard it. We saw him with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was escorting him around, and he went and he talked to Marsha Blackburn, and he went and he talked to, Tommy Tuberville. He went to talk to everybody. He had all these meetings, met with Mike Lee. And at the end of the day, he said, I thought it was productive. I'm optimistic. I think we're going to work through the process. And I just want a chance to be heard. I would just like a chance to make my, answer the questions. You guys have questions, no problem. I would like a chance to answer them. I would like my fair shot. And what we learned was that there were several Republicans who didn't want to give Matt Gaetz a fair shot. What we learned, President Trump, according to and again, I've heard it from multiple sources. So if you hear it from multiple sources, fine. Apparently what happened was President Trump was making phone calls himself, was talking to senators himself, realized there were more than three, because we have a 53-seat majority. You've got J.D. Vance. You can only lose 3 senators if you hope to get somebody confirmed. And there were more than 3 senators who were dead set against Matt Gaetz. Whether it was the ethics investigation, whether it was the DOJ investigation, whether it was the fact that they just hated him, which probably it was all 3. Maybe he'd come out and attacked some of them in the past, which, let's be honest, he probably did. But, you know, they couldn't set aside their personal feelings. They couldn't say, all right, for the good of the country, for the good of the administration, for the good of the DOJ, we will set aside our personal animus toward Matt Gaetz and our personal feelings, and we will confirm him, or we'll at least sit and listen to the guy. We'll at least sit down and we'll listen to the guy talk, and we'll ask him some questions, and we'll vet him like we're supposed to do. We will at least give him that courtesy. No, they were just telling Donald Trump, there's no way I'm ever voting for him. And President Trump realized he's not going to get the votes. And time is of the essence. Yes, recess appointments probably could have been a thing. Yes, there's other obscure laws that Donald Trump and his legal team could have investigated and tried to use to get whomever he wanted in his cabinet. But that takes time. And time, unfortunately, is the one thing that President Trump doesn't have. And the rhinos in the Senate know it. They know it's not the Democrats. The Democrats were going to vote against Matt Gaetz. No, there's always. It was never going to be an issue. It was always going to be 47 Democrats voting against Matt Gaetz. And the goal was to get every single Republican, or at least 51 of them, to vote for him. And now we already see that Donald Trump has enemies on his own team, and they're taking advantage of the one disadvantage President Trump has, and that he's a one-term president. He's going into a lame duck presidency. It won't be like any lame duck presidency you've ever seen. It's going to be a soaring eagle presidency, but it is still, in the eyes of a lot of these lawmakers, a lame duck presidency. And so they're going to take advantage of that by taking advantage of the fact that Donald Trump needs these people in place on day one. So that's the bad news. The good news is Pam Bondi's a solid pick. I mean, Pam Bondi, even CNN had to come out and say Pam Bondi, MSNBC in their own special way gave her the seal of approval.
Elon Musk bought X and turned
that's not, it's this one here.
She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz.
You know, every time I play that, I just feel better and better about Pam Bondi being the being the head of the DOJ, being the Attorney General. The fact that MSNBC is just freaking out so much. Oh my God, she's worse than Matt Gaetz. Great. Start her tomorrow. But anyway, even CNN was like, look, Pam Bondi is really a great pick.
Pam Bondi is, without a question, qualified to be Attorney General. She's been a prosecutor for 20 years in Florida. For 8 of those, she was the Attorney General of the state. That's a very big, very complicated job. And that level of experience is on par with or better than most United States attorneys general that we've seen over the past 50 years or so.
Wow, she has even more experience than any other attorney general that we've seen here in the United States over the last 50 years. So President Trump has found not only a MAGA conservative, somebody who is hell-bent on draining the swamp and fighting crime and reestablishing justice at the Department of Justice, go figure. Isn't that a novel concept? Walking into the Department of Justice and saying, hey guys, you know what we should do? We should administer some justice around here. When was the last time that happened? When was the last? Do you think Merrick Garland walks in every day and goes, we're gonna establish justice today? No. He walks in every day and goes, but who do we need to attack with our powers today? Which one of Joe Biden's adversaries are we going to throw in prison today? Are there any more January 6th protesters running around out there? Should we send the FBI down to a PTA meeting? What about the Catholics? Are Catholics still a thing? Let's go harass them some more. That's what Merrick Garland's been doing. Pam Bondi's going to go in there and be like, we are going to administer justice equally to people who are breaking the law, corrupting the system, and taking advantage and abusing their power. That's what we're going to do. And guess what? I have more experience doing that than any attorney general in the last 50 years. And those aren't my words. Those are CNN's words.
Pam Bondi is, without a question, qualified to be Attorney General. She's been a prosecutor for 20 years in Florida. For 8 of those, she was the Attorney General of the state. That's a very big, very complicated job. And that level of experience is on par with or better than most United States attorneys general that we've seen over the past 50 years or so.
I love Caitlin Collins' face when she's sitting there listening to one of her coworkers tell her how qualified Pam Bondi is to be Attorney General of the United States. You know why? Because they look at Donald Trump and they think this guy's picking this crazy cabinet. RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth from Fox News, Matt Gaetz, what are they doing? And now all of a sudden in rolls Pam Bondi, who is the most qualified person we've had for this job in 5 decades. And Donald Trump picked her. That is really, really amazing. Pam Bondi also is a very staunch advocate of Donald Trump. You may remember her from the impeachment hearings. Pam Bondi was one of the lead defenders of Donald Trump, and she successfully defended him in the Senate. She's successfully defended him against the bogus impeachment that Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler brought forward with Nancy Pelosi in his first term. The Russia collusion. And here's a little tidbit of her going after them.
The managers have been telling you all day, the House managers all day, White House is trying to hide from American people what witnesses had to say. They've been saying we want to bury evidence. We want to hide evidence. That hypocrisy is astounding. They've been saying, let's not forget why we are here. Well, we're here tonight because they threw due process, fundamental fairness, and our Constitution out the window in the House proceedings. That's why we're here, because they started in the secret bunker hearings where the president and his counsel weren't even allowed to participate when they're trying to impeach him. Intel and Judiciary committees was a one-sided circus.
Yeah, and again, she was victorious, and her other defenders of Donald Trump, they got him acquitted in the Senate, and he went back to work, and he waited until his second impeachment, which didn't even have a defense. So, everyone's like, who defended him in the second impeachment? Was she back? No, there was no defense in the second impeachment. It was a 24-hour attack on President Trump that failed miserably because, again, he was acquitted. But Pam Bondi earned herself a spot in President Trump's inner circle. And I think you probably get like a lifetime membership to Mar-a-Lago. I imagine if you save Donald Trump's presidency and keep him from getting, fired or found guilty by the Senate and, thrown out of office, I imagine that comes with some pretty nice perks. One of them now being Attorney General of the United States of America. And a lot of folks I've seen have been like, this has been the plan all along. I spent a lot of time on the internet yesterday because, that's what I do. If you want to know where I am, I'm on the internet. Hey, where's Mark Kaye? Have you seen him? Have you checked the internet? Oh, I should probably do that. It used to be, I'd go to the poker room and be outside no, I'm just on the internet now. But I was on the internet yesterday. I was hanging out and a lot of people said this was the plan all along. Because look at everything that's happened in the last week or so. First of all, Donald Trump picks Matt Gaetz and everybody's heads explode. On the left, in the media, a bunch of people on the right, they all just, boom, exploded. Everyone was like, Matt Gaetz, that's horrible. And Matt Gaetz resigned from Congress before the ethics report came out, and therefore the ethics committee report was buried. It's not coming out now. I imagine now they're not even going to go yesterday or the day before they announced that they were going to go back and work on it some more and release it in December. I imagine that's out the window. So Matt Gaetz, he buried the ethics report. All of a sudden, he comes in, he resigns his position. Pam Bondi gets the nod, and everybody now, look, even the media, even CNN and MSNBC are saying she's the most qualified person. There's not going to be any senators out there on the right on the left, they will be, but none of these rhinos on the right can come out possibly and say Pam Bondi's not qualified because, as CNN just told us, she's the most qualified person we've had in the job in the last 50 years. And she's not Matt Gaetz, and maybe she believes the same things Matt Gaetz does, and maybe she has the same ideas and agendas that Matt Gaetz does, and maybe her goal is the same as Matt Gaetz, to root out corruption in the deep state from the DOJ and bring justice back to the Department of Justice and make sure that the screwball treasonists in the FBI and other places are rooted out and brought to before a jury to be found guilty of whatever crimes they've committed. Maybe those are the same goals as Matt Gaetz, but she's got the pedigree and experience, and now she's a much more palatable choice because she's not Matt Gaetz. And now Donald Trump gets a force of nature in the DOJ who's a MAGA, loyal MAGA lieutenant, and nobody's going to complain about it when it comes time to confirm her. That's the first part. Maybe it's a brilliant strategy if it's true. The second part is, what happens to Matt Gaetz? Well, Matt Gaetz is not in the 118th Congress because he resigned, but he won the ability to serve in the 119th Congress because he just won re-election. And while he resigned from the 118th Congress, there is a consensus that says he can still be the congressman from the 1st District of Florida come January, because that's when they swear in the 119th Congress, and that's the Congress he was just elected to. So he could go back to that job. However, there's a consensus that also says if he goes back to the House of Representatives, They also will then probably bring back that ethics committee meeting, or that ethics committee report. However, Matt Gaetz has just said that he is not returning to Congress after withdrawing his name from consideration. He said he's put that to rest, and he said, "Oh, I'm not going to return to Congress." However, the interesting thing is that there's a Senate opening. There's an opening for a senator that is right here in the state of Florida. And a lot of people think maybe Ron DeSantis would choose him to be senator. I don't think so, because Ron DeSantis and Matt Gaetz weren't supportive of each other. Matt Gaetz was always supportive of him as governor, but not necessarily supportive of him as president of the United States. And there may still be some animosity there. There may still be some bad blood. So that would be an interesting choice. But keep in mind, there are other roles in the Trump administration that are just as important as attorney general and are not requisite of Senate confirmation. For example, Jack Smith is a special prosecutor. Jack Smith has been going after President Trump. Jack Smith has been given a blanket. He's been given as many lawyers as he wants on his team. He's been given as much money as he can spend. He's been given as much time as he needs. He's been given all the leeway to go out and investigate and attack and prosecute and persecute and bring up all kinds of indictments against President Donald Trump. And special prosecutors are appointed by the president, the DOJ, all these other places. So it could be that Matt Gaetz finds himself working in the very department that he was going to lead as a special prosecutor. There's other appointments. There's special advisor to the president. There's also lawyers within the White House. There's other things that he could be doing and that he may actually potentially investigate. And the most exciting thing about this, and I think probably the biggest benefit of what came about this week with President Trump and Pam Bondi and Matt Gaetz and withdrawing his name, all of those things, I think the biggest thing that happened, or the biggest thing that we learned, is who really the enemies are on the right. We knew, we had an idea, but this was really them showing their teeth, I think, a little too early. This was people in the Senate, Republicans supposedly, coming out, and now Donald Trump has some new names to put on his enemies list. They always say, Donald Trump is an enemies list. Well, fun fact, everybody has an enemies list. Everybody. They say Donald Trump has an enemies list and he's going to check it off one by one. Guess what? Joe Biden has an enemies list. It says Donald Trump. That's it. And Donald Trump right at the top of the enemies list. It's right there. Everybody has an enemies. I have an enemies list. I'm not going to tell you who's on it, but you'll find out eventually. I'm sure you could guess. I'm sure there's a couple names you could probably guess that are up there on the top. But now Donald Trump knows, okay, there's 5, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 senators. I would say 5 senators who said, we are not going to vote for Matt Gaetz for any reason. And there's nothing he can say at the hearing. There's nothing he can do between now and the time that we bring him in for confirmation. There's nothing at all that's ever going to change our minds ever. He is not going to be attorney general ever. Period. End of story. So now Donald Trump knows who those people are. And I would have to guess that one of them is Joni Ernst. Where'd she go? Joni Ernst from Iowa, who is, guess what? Up for re-election in 2026. Joni Ernst has been wishy-washy. She's been anti-Matt Gaetz for a long time. She's not a solidly conservative, America First, Donald Trump supporting Republican. And like I said, she's up for re-election in just 2 years. Another one is, Mitch McConnell from Kentucky, who not only should have aged out of this job, but everybody knows what this guy truly is. He just keeps getting reelected, even though his brain synapses are short-circuiting. He's still there. He was Senate Majority Leader up until like a week ago, and now he's up for reelection in 2 years. Hopefully we get in there some kind of MAGA conservative. Bill Cassidy, this guy's the worst. This guy actually voted to throw Donald Trump out of office after using Donald Trump to get elected in Louisiana. Look at him. He's so smarmy looking. I hate that guy. This guy's got to go. And I imagine Matt Gaetz was not going to get support from this guy. Either way, he should be out of there. Susan Collins in Maine. We know she didn't like Matt Gaetz. We know that she's stood on the wrong side of history, and we know that she's a Mitch McConnell acolyte. She's got to go. There's a couple more. Tom Tillis. I'm not a huge fan of that guy. Lindsey Graham is up for re-election. Lindsey Graham, I feel like would have come around and supported Matt Gaetz, but I don't know. I'm kind of over the Lindsey Graham era of American politics. Aren't you, South Carolina? You got Tim Scott. You have Nancy Mace. You got all these exciting politics. There's no one else in the state. I love South Carolina. I got married there. I go there every year for a week with my family so that we can hang out at beautiful Myrtle Beach and take in the sun and celebrate the 4th of July and the founding of our country. I kind of feel like we're done with Lindsey Graham. Maybe time to move on. John Cornyn up for reelect. All the Shelley Moore, Capito, all these people. There's so many Republicans that we could weed out, that we could vet, that we could just get out of there. Oh, that would just be so exciting. Now, I will say this. As much as Lindsey Graham was wishy-washy on Matt Gaetz, he loves him. Lindsey Graham loves him some Pam Bondi. I don't know what the deal is with those two, but Lindsey Graham went out on X yesterday as soon as this pick was made. And let me share with you. Hold on, I got to make sure that I spell. There's a bunch of people named Lindsey Graham. I want to make sure I get the right one. Lindsey Graham, I don't know what his history is with Pam Bondi, but he is just pleased as punch that President Trump chose her. Look at this. Well done, Mr. President. Picking Pam Bondi for Attorney General is a grand slam, touchdown, hole-in-one, ace, hat trick, slam dunk, Olympic gold medal pick. Wow. She will be confirmed quickly because she deserves to be confirmed quickly. Somebody got a little crush on Pam Bondi. I think. Look at that. I think he's he loves himself some Pam Bondi. That Lindsay, that's a little, man. She's a grand slam, touchdown, hole-in-one, hat trick, slam dunk, Olympic gold medal pick. She will be confirmed quickly because she deserves to be confirmed quickly. Man, Lindsey Graham is having a great day. Hey, listen, we're going to talk to Representative Kat Cammack here in about 35 seconds. But first, I would like to remind you that the other day we were talking to Doug Stone from Colonial Metals Group, and we talked. We had such a great conversation. I had so many great responses to that, and he showed us all about the American dollar and where the economy's heading and why gold is such a great pick. But we also talked about a bunch of other stuff. And as you can tell, he is a staunch conservative, not just fiscally, but he is a social conservative as well. And he's put together a great free gold guide where you can discover wealth preservation strategies, a tax-free way to protect your wealth, and why billionaires always turn to gold in times of crisis. Bitcoin may be booming, but Bitcoin is susceptible to the whims of the people. Same with the stock market. I mean, and he pointed out so many great examples. If you've got your money in a stock-based IRA or a bond-based IRA, it's going to fluctuate and you have no control over it. There are gold-based and precious metals-based and silver-based IRAs that are much less volatile and a much better place, in my humble opinion, to keep your money. And if you would like to keep your money there, there's a link in the description of this video. It's freegoldguide.com/KAYE, my last name. freegoldguide.com/KAYE. And if you access that free gold guide now, you can get all the great information from our buddy Paul Stone at Doug Stone at Colonial Metals Group. Who's Paul Stone? I don't even know. Who's Blackstone? I don't know. Anyway, I think we got Kat Cammack ready to go. Again, I am my own producer, so I need to make sure all the buttons are in place. Yep, here we go. Man, I'm so excited to have on the show the best damn congresswoman in American history. In fact, she is America's congresswoman. And I know that because she literally just told me, please call me America's congresswoman. Please welcome from Florida's...
You rascal, you.
What? No, come on. No, you really are, though, America's congresswoman. When I think of America and I think of congresswomen, it's Kat Cammack from Florida's 3rd District. How are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
Doing really well. Listen, it's been a busy couple weeks since the election. First of all, congratulations on winning a decisive victory to return to Congress, number one.
Well, we are very excited to return. Lots of work to do, not a lot of time to do it. And, it's crazy because right now everything on Capitol Hill is moving so fast.
Yeah.
But in, true style, there's like this really nasty bug that's going around. It's not the swamp bug. I mean, that's going around certainly, but I have like a touch of bronchitis. So if it sounds like I've been smoking 2 packs a day, No, I am not moonlighting, doing 900 ads or anything like that. I just have that touch of bronchitis. Can't kick the cough.
You know, the last time I was supposed to sit down and chat with you, you also used the whole, oh, I've got a cough thing, and we had to reschedule.
Stop.
I don't know if it's, but again, Zoom is good because we don't need masks or anything like that. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you've got a touch of the bug, but I know, speaking of the swamp bug, it's interesting to see what's been going on the last couple of weeks. And I think what people realized was everyone was really hype on the election and how decisive it was for President Trump and how we maintained control of the House, which is great. And we won all the Senate seats. But I think really quickly, we all realized, oh, it wasn't conservatives who won. It was Republicans. And there's a big difference between the two. When you ran for conference chair, we ran into a little bit of that. There's a lot of conservatives, but there's still a lot of mainstream Washington, D.C. types who want to retain power, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the swamp is going to fight tooth and nail to resist any sort of change to the status quo. And you alluded to it, in the last couple of weeks, we've been going through these leadership elections,
right?
And really the process of getting set up for the 119th Congress. And I threw my hat in the ring to be the conference chair, which is the number 4 position in House leadership, really the spokesperson, but also the person who manages the day-to-day, keeps the trains moving on time, right?
That was Elise Stefanik's job before she got plucked out of the Congress. And then you, which I'll be honest with you, seemed like the perfect conservative choice to take over.
Yeah, and so throwing our hat in the ring, we had a lot of really good support, but I'll tell you honestly, in the end, it was probably never going to happen because I don't do earmarks and I don't support earmarks. And I was told multiple times from members that because I don't support earmarks and because I don't do earmarks, kind of like, it's one thing if you are vocal about it as we are, but then it's another if, it's kind of like the picture of RFK on the plane with Donald Trump eating the Big Mac and the Coca-Cola. It's like, is he an undercover? We're going to test him out. He's got to do the drug first, and so I was told basically you don't do earmarks, so we can't trust you. And I stand by that. I'm not going to engage in swamp behavior to become part of the swamp, right?
Yeah.
I was sent to Washington to change it, not to further ingratiate myself into that mess. And so I think earmarks are a great example of a starting place for us to start cutting spending rather than grow spending. And I've talked to so many colleagues and they say, Kat, we like you. We know that you're a good fighter, but the earmarks thing is a real problem for us because people want to make sure they can keep bringing home the bacon to their districts. And we've seen in the past where earmarks have been grossly abused and used as a way to keep members in line. So I'm not going to be a part of that. I was never going to compromise on that. And so didn't win that race, but the fight continues.
I mean, the thing about earmarks is it seems, and this is the way that you can always tell, if something seems reasonable and if something seems like the right choice, then usually it's bad news in Washington, D.C. And all of us sitting at home go, yeah, get rid of earmarks. Don't make sense at all. Why are we tagging on $2 million to build the Michelle Obama hiking trail in Georgia to an energy bill? It just doesn't make it, the two don't vibe at all. But like I said, there's a lot of conservatives in DC, but there's more Republicans. This whole battle with Matt Gaetz, who quit Congress, he resigned from Congress. The interesting question now is, can he come back? Because he resigned the 118th Congress, but he won re-election for the 119th. What is the actual ruling on that, do you think?
So short answer is TBD. There's a lot happening right now on the backside of this announcement that, he resigned from the 118th Congress. The way that his letter was written, he didn't intend to take an oath of office for the 119th. But we don't know if Cord Byrd, who is the Secretary of State for Florida, has already put the wheels in motion to fill his vacant seat. There's a lot of things, both at the federal level and the state level, that have to happen to get some clarity on it. So I think anybody who says that they know 100% what's happening and what's going to happen is telling you a lie. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because we've already seen people who have announced for that seat and those wheels are in motion. But then, of course, at the federal level, there's the parliamentary procedure of he resigned. He gave his notice, the speaker accepted it, declared his seat vacant. There's a lot of moving parts to this. It's far more complicated than just a yes or no answer. So we're going to be working through that, I'm sure, through the weekend and into the next week. And of course, it all comes down to what Matt wants to do. And if I know Matt Gaetz, he has a plan. So we'll have to wait to hear from the man himself as well.
That is true. Also, I'm sitting down with Cord Bird next week. Pardon me. So I'll be sure to ask him, and I'll report back. And here's the thing about Florida. This is why I tell people Florida is amazing. Not only do we have the weather and the climate and all that other great stuff, no income tax, but we have the best politicians. And you can tell because President Trump keeps stealing them. It's Matt Gaetz, he took Marco Rubio, and he took our good friend Mike Waltz to be, I think, probably one of the best picks in the cabinet is Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor. And that leaves another opening just down the road here in District 6. You've worked really diligently to go out and help and find and elect a whole bunch of conservatives to Congress. Do you have any names? Do you have any people that you're ready to put in these positions so that we maintain not just a Republican Congress, but a MAGA America First conservative Congress?
Look at you, Mark, trying to break news today. You're trying to put me on the spot.
Kind of my job.
I know. And because we're friends, I will tell you that there are some really, really exciting options and news that's going to be breaking. And if anyone wants to jump on over to fec.gov and see who has recently filed in those seats, wink, wink, you will be able to see who some of those individuals are.
Wait, how do you spell fec.gov? Is it
fec.gov?
Oh, okay,
you can pull up recent filings and you'll find out who's really taking it seriously and who's just making noise. As the recruitment chair for the NRCC, we've been going and having a lot of these conversations of both FL01 and FL06. So Mike Waltz seat and Matt Gaetz seat. And lots of people are coming out of the woodwork. And there's some people that I'm not so excited about. And then there's some people that I think would be phenomenal and be a tremendous value add into the America First movement. And so I think it's all going to shake out, because if there's one thing I know about Florida politics, it's that everybody wants to be here. And so these people are going to really have to earn their spot. And it's going to be a very quick election. So don't forget, the minute that Cord Bird, and I hope you talk to him about this next week, they're going to announce that qualifying period of 45 days. Then we're going to have an immediate primary and then the general. Good thing is that both of these seats are blood red, deep red, American, America First red. I don't anticipate any problems with them going blue. So we're going to get two solid Republicans out of there. I'll tell you that the Florida delegation, we had a meeting this week talking about, listen, this is a seat that we want to fill. We want to fill it quickly. We want somebody who's going to really be a part of the team to make sure that we're keeping Florida conservative, that we're pushing conservative policies in Washington. And so there's going to be a big push behind probably one individual. So I would encourage people to dig in and see who's filed already.
All right. Keep me posted so I know who to promote and who not to, because I've had some trouble with that.
You know, I'm going to text you.
No, I know. Hey, I know exactly right. Hey, and one more vacancy. I mean, we do have a senator vacancy here in Florida too, which is a big deal. And I've heard Laura Trump's name has been popped in there. I've heard Byron Donalds, which would then open up another congressional seat, which would start the whole process all over again. And of course, that's all up to Governor Ron DeSantis. What do you know, or what are your thoughts on that process? Do you see anyone that's maybe kind of an outlier that has been mentioned publicly yet that would be a good fit to fill that Senate seat?
So again, you kind of hit on it. Florida has so much talent that, the cup is overflowing in terms of the options that Governor DeSantis would have. I think for the governor, he has a very unique situation where he has some folks that are maybe more Trump world that would be a great fit. I think Laura Trump would be a good fit. You have some folks that really were supportive of what the governor himself did here in the state. Mm-hmm. And so there's that element. The thing that we have to remember is that it shouldn't be Trump versus DeSantis, right? It should be what is best for the state of Florida. And so when I think of the pick that he has to make, he should be picking someone who is going to be exceptionally principled and really rooted in conservative principles, because Washington, it is not for the weak. They will try to pull you in 18 different directions. And so you want somebody who has the experience of dealing with the swamp. So I think that's one of the considerations. Two, you need somebody who is going to lean on those conservative principles. And sometimes people fall into the trap of maybe what's popular, maybe not so conservative, but popular. Mm-hmm. And I think that we need to be mindful that those conservative principles are timeless. So he's going to be looking for someone in that vein as well. I do think that there's going to be a vetting process. One thing about Governor DeSantis is he's a thoughtful guy. He's not going to rush into something. He's not going to be bullied into something. He's going to be really deliberate in thinking through who this person could be, because let us not forget that this is going to be someone who sits in that seat for 2 years and has to run for re-election and then run again in 2 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's almost like a congressional seat in that way.
Yeah, basically, exactly. You need somebody who's used to that tempo, who has that skill set of being able to campaign and legislate at the same time. It's kind of interesting to think of who might be able to fill that seat.
Yeah, that's wild. Kat Kamek, America's Congresswoman. Listen, there's our buddy Aaron Bean was texting me, and he told me he's very excited about the DOJ caucus, which he started with Congressman Sessions. Have you pledged to join the DOJ caucus to help cut out government spending and waste?
I think I was the OG Doge.
Yeah, I know. But you were Doge before it was a thing.
When we introduced the REINS Act. Yeah, I love Aaron Bean, and I think that was a brilliant, a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll be joining the caucus.
Yay.
I think the Republican conference as a whole is going to be focused on this once in a generation opportunity to really cut government. I mean, I've been talking with Vivek myself about the REINS Act, which is the largest regulatory reform effort in American history. And why that's so important is because that is the vehicle to drain the swamp. Everyone talks about term limits, which are important, but no one talks about how do you get rid of these unelected, nameless, faceless bureaucrats, the REINS Act. And then we look at all the unauthorized spending. The EPA has never been authorized by Congress, yet we fund it. What in the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
So the USA Act, the Unauthorized Spending Accountability Act, that's going to be a huge part of it. And then you look at the work that Aaron and Pete and so many others are going to be doing in digging through these line by line accounts and slicing and dicing. This is where I get really excited, because this is an opportunity to usher in a renaissance, the golden age of America, coming up on our 250th birthday. We have never seen a republic last beyond 250 years. This is our moment to not just say, hey, we're here to stay, but to make history and to let other nations know that, hey, small government works. A government that is accountable to the people, that works for the people, that is by the people.
Yeah.
It actually can work. This top-down, heavy bureaucracy, it is designed to fail, and we have an opportunity to dismantle it and give us another shot at 250 years. So the DOJ, I'm very excited about. I think Elon and Vivek are the best people to lead it.
Yeah.
High energy, and it's going to be wild. A lot of people are going to be mad, but you know what?
Hey, what Winston Churchill said, you have enemies, that's good. It means you stood up for something once in your life. Listen, I know you have to run and go, pimp slap some liberals and stuff like that. But one last question. As you walk,
keep that hand strong, you know.
I know you got to do we get you with the stress balls.
I just need the baby powder, you know.
As you wander around the halls of Congress, do you notice a kind of sorrowful, melancholic cloud of despair over some of your Democrat colleagues?
Oh, it kind of reminds me of, this new Jaguar commercial that just came out, the car commercial that has no car in it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a little bit, I would say, tone deaf. I walk around the halls of Congress and I look at some of my colleagues, bless their hearts, as we would say here in the South.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't know what happened. They're a little bit stunned, but yet they're still talking as though we're in the election period and America is still buying this BS that they're trying to sell. And I'm like, you clearly missed the message. Like it's not tracking. But I will say I had a conversation with a member of the squad. I won't say who. Had a conversation with a member of the squad. And she said she was in a bit of having a moment, we'll say, because when they did the deep dive on her election, it turned out that her voters, her new base, is a Trump and her base. And she said to me, quote, I don't know how to be this legislator where my core voters are pro-Trump and pro-me. She said, I don't know how to navigate that. So I really have to think through how I'm going to move forward. Wow. And I thought that was so interesting that now they're having this moment of reflection and a little bit of an identity crisis. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it. Some won't survive it, some will.
It makes sense to me because how many times have you and Matt Gaetz and other, Byron Donalds found yourself voting with AOC and Ilhan Omar on issues because the centrists were leading it? So it does kind of track in certain areas. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a small core group of us that are absolutely against the neocon adventurism,
right?
Of the past, these endless wars.
Yeah.
And so it's true. Sometimes you find yourself on the side with, very strange bedfellows, right? And but I think for the left and my colleagues on the left, bless their hearts, they're having a real identity crisis of who they are. And I think Charles Barkley may have said it best in an interview after the election. He's like, we didn't talk about inflation. We didn't talk about the things that Americans are actually caring about. He's like, I love Beyonce, but I'm not going to vote for someone because Beyonce tells me to. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point, know? So,
the great political mind of Charles Barkley. We love that. Hey, when do you head back to Congress? When do you go back to DC?
So we have next week, Thanksgiving week off. So I'll be in the district visiting with folks and catching up with the team. And then after that, all of December, we are in Washington. And the thing that no one is talking about, Mark, but I know you will because you are always on top of it.
Always.
Is the December 20th deadline.
Yes.
Everyone should be paying attention to what happens. There could be a lot of just total BS garbage thrown into this government funding package at the end of this month. And what happens on December 20th will really drive and dictate what Donald Trump is able to do for the next year. So everyone needs to be paying attention to that. Cannot let members slide under the radar with some nonsense, crazy big package that perpetuates the spending of Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi. So everybody should be paying attention to that. That's going to be super hot on everyone's mind rolling into Christmas.
All right. Kat Cammack, America's Congresswoman from Florida's District 3. Hey, make sure when you go back to Congress, you're using the right restroom, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm so grateful for you to remind me.
You cannot go into the men's room anymore, thanks to Nancy Mace.
Oh my gosh. Who knew that this would be controversial, right?
I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, as an observer, I've been really enjoying it. But
I've said a couple of times here recently, this should not be controversial to keep biological men out of women's spaces.
Yeah.
I feel like this crazy train is just kind of coming into the station, and it just needs to stop there forever.
Yeah.
The good news is that every member has their own private bathroom.
That's what I was.
Shouldn't be an issue any longer.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, you guys have really cush offices there. I was like, who's using the public restroom in the Congress anyway? Listen, Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks for all your hard work, and we are excited to see what happens in the 119th Congress.
As always, Mark, you're the best. Appreciate you for always staying on top of it.
It's always a nice visit with Congresswoman Kat Cammack. And and by the way, there was an update, breaking news again, of course, that Matt Gaetz has announced that he does not intend to join. Now, again, he's not saying that he won't. He's saying it's not his intention to join the 119th Congress. Former Florida, Congress Representative Matt Gaetz withdrew from consideration. I'm still going to be in the fight, but it's going to be from a new perch. I do not intend to join the 119th Congress, he told Charlie Kirk. Gaetz first elected in 2016, yada, yada, yada. So we'll see what he's going to be doing. It's not going to be Congress. I don't know if it's going to be the Senate. It's going to be something. Because again, clearly he's got too much name recognition, too much talent, too much political capital to just walk away at this point because 5 Rhino Republicans didn't want him to be the Attorney General. Now, the one other danger that we should bring up is that now that this first fight went to the swamp, again, there's good and bad parts of it. The good news is we got Pam Bondi. And as we told you earlier, the left hates Pam Bondi. So as we write as I wrote years ago in the K-Trait Manifesto, which if you don't have a copy, you can get by going to markk.com. It's free. The K-Trait Manifesto is if the left is happy, you shouldn't be, and vice versa. And if the left is mad, if they're upset, If they don't like Pam Bondi, then we should feel somewhat okay.
She is a dangerous and effective pick, and that's frankly worse than what we would have got with Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. And so what we need to do is we need to capitalize on that. But that's the positive. The other positive is we know who the enemies are. I mean, we had a good idea, but now we really know. We can double down on Mitch McConnell, and we can double down on Joni Ernst and Susan Collins. We can double down on all of these swamp creatures. I'm sure John Cornyn was in there as well. And we can really, plan out and plot an attack, a plan of attack for 2026 to make sure that we get more J.D. Vances. We get more Mike Lees. Wouldn't that be great? More Rick Scotts. We need more conservatives in the Senate to make sure that whatever President Trump needs to do to fulfill his mandate to the American people, that he'll do. So that's exciting. But the bad news is that the swamp, when you win one, when you get to, I guess you would say, when you get your way, you tend to think that you could get your way even more. And again, they're playing against the lack of time that President Trump has, because he doesn't have a lot of time, less than most presidents going into a term. So they're going to play that game with him. And that then brings up some of the other somewhat controversial picks that President Trump might be eyeing for powerful positions. One of them is the director of the FBI. Now, Christopher Wray is a disaster. Christopher Wray has to go. The entire FBI needs to be vetted from the top down. The entire FBI needs to be, a lot of people think you just dismantle it and start over with some new agency, but Kash Patel is one of those anti-deep state experts who will bring an iron fist to the FBI and who will dismantle it quickly and harshly and without any apology. And will do so in an effort to, again, root out corruption and the deep state operatives and make it a body that is not, investigating presidents and sorting, through their wife's underwear drawers and barging into their homes looking for top secret documents that may or may not actually be top secret anymore. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for an FBI director who will direct the FBI in the way that it was intended and not as a weapon against someone's political adversary. Well, that's Kash Patel. But Kash Patel could also, he could also suffer the same fate as Matt Gaetz. There could be some Joni Ernsts and some Mitch McConnells and some Susan Collinses and all of those people. They could, they're still going to be in there. They could come forward and say, look, it worked once before. It'll work again. If we hold fast, if we hold steady and we tell President Trump no, then we're not going to, we're going to get our way. Because all it takes is four Republican senators to go against President Trump. And there are at least 4 senators who don't like President Trump, don't like that he's back in power, have actively worked against him, spoken up against him, and will continue to do so well into the next 4 years. So Kash Patel's name has been floated as director of the FBI. It's now also been floated as deputy director of the FBI. And another name has come up, and that's Mike Rogers. Now, Mike Rogers is a former FBI agent. He's a former congressman. He's from Michigan. And he's not, by the way, a lot of people thought that this was the Mike Rogers that attacked Matt Gaetz in Congress. Do you remember this when they were trying to get Kevin McCarthy confirmed and it was like number 19 and Matt Gaetz was sitting there? This is the Mike Rogers here in the orange tie with the bad toupee. This guy's from Alabama. And he came up and he had to be restrained. They had to grab his face and pull him away from Matt Gaetz. This is a different Mike Rogers. This Mike Rogers is from Michigan, but this Mike Rogers is almost as bad because he's, the Mike Rogers from Alabama who openly attacked Matt Gaetz. You could see what he was. This Mike Rogers, you can't really see coming. And he was on with our good buddy Brian Kilmeade this morning talking about the FBI and what he would do if he were FBI director to clean it up.
So let's talk about the FBI director. Your background in the FBI. Prior to that, it was the military. Then you were the intelligence. When you sit down with the president, it's confidential. But what is your pitch to replace Christopher Wray?
Yeah, and of course, President hasn't said he's going to do that yet, but and those deliberations probably are ongoing, so I couldn't talk about any of those things. But listen, the Bureau has lost confidence of the American people. This is a tragedy. You think of the serious problems we have, Brian, with human trafficking, 30,000 people in this country illegally who have been convicted of rape or murder. This is where the FBI should be applying its resources. It should not be engaged in politics. And the culture of the FBI on the 7th floor needs to be changed, and that has to have a kind of a reckoning. You can cure the cancer without killing the patient, and that's exactly what needs to happen at the FBI.
Well, a lot of people would argue with that. A lot of people would say, hey, you know what? Let's just kill the patient. Let's bring in Kash Patel and let him just murder the patient. Let him Dr. Kevorkian that patient. We need a fresh start. Curing the cancer is very difficult to do, especially in an agency like the FBI or the CIA or the DOJ. There's so many people that have been there so long, and these are experts at telling you one thing and doing something totally different. These people are experts at pretending to be something they're not. These people are experts at manipulating information. That's what they do for a living. So it's very difficult to make sure that you've got the right person in the right job. A lot of people don't like Mike Rogers for another reason. And the reason they don't like Mike Rogers is because Andy McCabe loves him. Andrew McCabe was on CNN talking about how, Mike Rogers is the best.
He is someone who's experienced at the FBI. He just ran for Senate in Michigan and almost won, lost to Alyssa Slotkin there. If Trump named him as the next FBI director, how would you feel about that?
Caitlin, I think Mike Rogers is a totally reasonable, logical selection for FBI director. If in fact that's the decision President-elect Trump makes. I had many interactions with then Representative Rogers during his time as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. So he's, as you mentioned, someone with history with the FBI. He understands the organization. He served as an FBI agent for several years before he went off on his political career. He, in his capacity in the House, I think that the strongest qualification in my own, on my own opinion about Mr. Rogers is the respect and awareness and knowledge that he has for the intelligence community, for the work they do, for the seriousness of that work, for how those secrets and that sensitive information needs to be protected. So in all those counts, I think Mike Rogers fills the bill pretty well.
Okay, now there's been a lot of talk on the news about Mike Rogers. They brought in Andrew McCabe to talk about Mike Rogers, and everybody's out there saying Mike Rogers. First of all, I love that they call him Mr. Rogers. But here's the fun thing. If you go right to the source, which these news media people never actually do, you'll see that Mike Rogers is not even in contention. For example, Dan Scavino Jr. wrote, I just spoke to President Trump regarding Mike Rogers going to the FBI. It's not happening. In his own words, I have never even given it a thought. Not happening. So the fact of the matter is that the media is still trying to push their narrative. They're still trying to push their deep state operatives. They're still trying to push people that they want. They're still trying to push fake news. And what they haven't realized, I guess, is that the fake news media is dead. I mean, it's dead. They've killed themselves. MSNBC is on the auction block, and they're going to be sold at a reduced rate if anyone wants to buy them at all. And they won't be MSNBC. They'll have to probably sever from the NBC logo. I mean, NBC is not going to be their parent company anymore. Comcast isn't going to own them. But what's happened is they've destroyed their own credibility, and they refuse to give up or give in to the point that you can't. There was a woman on MSNBC yesterday on Morning Joe, and she was talking about how, look, X has basically become the new news. X has surpassed MSNBC and CNN and everyone else, and she doesn't understand why these fake news people are jumping off.
Elon Musk bought X and turned it into the social media arm of the MAGA movement. And we all sat there right in the middle of it during the campaign, possibly not realizing that we're sitting there like fat chickens, just getting attacked all day and just being part of this MAGA messaging. However, the election's over. Everybody's getting smarter and better. I'm not sure that the right idea is to leave Twitter and just go to Blue Sky, a friendlier place, because then we remain in our echo chambers. I don't think that you should necessarily stay in Twitter every day and battle it out and let yourself doom scroll of all the hate coming at you. But I want to see it. I want to read what's happening there, right? And so I think at least staying in those spaces is important because I want to hear the other things.
Eddie, all right, so what she's saying is look, all of the liberals are so mad at the truth They're so mad at reality. They're so mad that Elon Musk let the truth on his platform that they're leaving to go to this blue sky place where they just subvert and censor you like there's no tomorrow. And they're living in an echo chamber when really they should stay on X because X is where the truth is. And that's probably the most honest thing anyone on MSNBC said in a long time, because yesterday there was another fake news event. There were a couple, actually. There were a couple. One of them was this tweet that a CBS reporter, I guess it was they have this fake pool or this press pool. It's not official. It's not an official press pool, but it's a group of reporters who just kind of hang out outside Mar-a-Lago. And one of them was a CBS photog, or I'm not even sure who. And they saw two ambulances race away from Mar-a-Lago with vans filled with Secret Service agents. And they went out and they filed a story, or they started reporting a story, or they went out and they told somebody, OMG, I'm at Mar-a-Lago, and two ambulances just raced away with a bunch of Secret Service agents in the back. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't look good. And this story started to pick up and get legs and everything else. It was totally fake. Panic at Mar-a-Lago. This is from Amuse. Panic at Mar-a-Lago. How the fake press pool fueled global fear until X set the record straight. X set the record straight. The fake news, CBS, was passing the hoax off as news, and X set the record straight. That's the opposite of what they've been telling us. They've been telling us that conservatives have been spreading misinformation online, and conservatives are spreading Russian disinformation, and they lie to you, and the conservatives are making up this, that, and the other, and you can't trust anything that Elon Musk has on his platform, because guess what? There's no fact checking. Well, the people who are supposedly the fact checkers are spreading lies, and the people on X are fact checking them and saying, no. That wasn't at all what you said it was. The chaos began this afternoon when two ambulances, several vans, and a helicopter were seen leaving Mar-a-Lago. An overzealous CBS producer watching from afar decided to put forth an explosive theory. President Trump had been taken away by an ambulance. The message was sent out into the pool, stoking speculation among mainstream networks about the president's health. Was he dead? Had he suffered a heart attack? Was this an assassination attempt? The breathless, barely contained eagerness with which the mainstream media spread these unverified claims is revealing. They were more than happy to shout fire in a crowded theater, and today the crowded theater was the entire world. Now, what happened was X reported that it was just part of the regular, the regular protocol for Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's motorcade. You always have ambulances. You always have vans full of Secret Service agents. There's nothing to see here. And Dan Scavino, again, who's really busy, I guess, like thwarting these fake news attacks. I am currently at Mar-a-Lago, and 4547 is in a meeting. The movement's being reported by the unofficial pool, who are staked outside of the property of cars, vans, ambulances, and a helicopter hovering above, are that of Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's motorcade. Nothing more. Nothing less. Sadly, they thought they were onto something more. Hopefully, they clarify and correct immediately. This is why the media is dying. This is why MSNBC is on the chopping block. Why CNN is dropping support staff like they're 20-pound bricks, because they just can't afford it anymore. Nobody trusts them. And then there's stuff like this. MSNBC, Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance. For all the political controversy surrounding Jose Ibarra, the outcome of this trial was never in doubt. Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance? What about Laken Riley? MSNBC seems to have their priorities all out of whack. Listen, I've got to go back and film some more stuff for our 12 Days of Christmas, which is going amazingly, which is coming up in just a little while. But I do want to remind everybody that we are 2 weeks away from our Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. And the ticket, this is going to be the greatest event of the year. Every year we get together at Best Bet in Jacksonville. If you're in the Jacksonville area, you probably know it well. If you've never been to this event, this is the year to go. Why? Because we are in control of everything. We don't have to answer to anybody. We are an independent news agency. We're an independent broadcasting source. I make the rules now. I'm the captain now. And we are going to go all out. The things we never got to do that we've always wanted to do, we're going to do with this Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. The way that we've wanted to live stream this that we've never been able to, we're going to do now at this year's Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. There's going to be people there that you haven't seen in a while. I know Hannah's coming with her family. A couple of other people are coming with their families. And tickets are going very, very, very quickly. My favorite thing to do is, because I play in this tournament, again, the reason I have a poker tournament is to raise money for our Kaye's kids, but also because I really enjoy playing poker. And if I can mix the two, if I can raise money for my charity and play poker at the same time, that to me is a win-win. Wait. There it is. And we've been winning for a very long time. But I play in this tournament myself, and I've given myself the big VIK table, the very important Katriot table. And this table is under the lights. Everyone's all mic'd up. You're on camera. And we live stream it, much like a professional. I don't know if you've ever watched professional poker. Maybe you watch some WPT or the World Series of Poker, and you see everyone around the table with the cameras and the microphones, and you see their cards on the table, but you can also see digitally what everybody has and follow along. We do that. I mean, Best Bet goes all out. They've got one of the most high-tech setups in the state of Florida and the country, and we use it, and we live stream this tournament, and it's so much fun. Plus, as a very important K treat, you get free food, you get free drinks, and most importantly, you get a Mark Kaye Show Mark Kaye Saves the Republic swag bag, which is also exciting. That's the wrong button. Let me go here. Yeah, there you go. So if you haven't yet gotten your ticket and you'd like to join me at the VIK table, kayskids.com, we have a couple seats left. Also, if you're like, Mark, I love you, but I don't need to sit with you at the table. I have a bunch of other friends I'd like to bring. No problem. You can get a full table and you only pay for 6 tickets, but you get 8. It's amazing. If you want to come just yourself or a couple, whatever, an individual entry into the tournament, it's $250. That's a 100% tax deductible donation. Again, everything is tax deductible. You get a receipt from Dreams Come True. They're a registered charity. You'll be able to deduct this as a charitable donation. And I mean, when's the last time you've been able to go out, play poker, potentially win $1,000 in cash and get free drinks and food and be able to deduct it from your taxes as a charitable expense? It's rare that it happens, but it happens every year. And this year it's December the 5th. If you get a regular ticket, a regular seat, no problem. We'll put you at a table. We'll give you the food. We'll give you the drinks. We'll give you the entry into the tournament, and you could still win $1,000. And like I said, if you have 7 friends, 8 people can play for the price of 6, which is awesome. But only if you get your tickets. So go to kayskids.com. I know it's payday for a lot of people. kayskids.com. Reserve your seat. We only have 4 tickets remaining at the VIK table. We only have 5 tables remaining to be sold out. And we have 0 spectators. So no more spectators. No more looky-loos. If you want to come, you got to play. But again, if you play, you can win. And winning is what it's all about. Oh, and also helping out our Kaye's Kids charity. Look, like I said, I'm going to go. I've got way too many buttons here. There you go. I'm going to go now. I gotta change. I got to go in, and we're going to be giving away more gifts. And oh, by the way, the Kaye's Kids 12 Days of Christmas also starts on December 5th. So we begin our 12 Days of Christmas. We go play poker. All is merry and bright. It's fantastic. And we're going to be bringing you, just so like we do every year, the stories of our Kaye's kids. We're going to be bringing you their tumultuous battles with these life-threatening illnesses. You're going to get to see how strong these kids have been. And then, of course, we're going to surprise them with these amazing dream gifts. And you're going to get to hear it all. You're going to get to watch it all if you're watching our live stream. If you're subscribed to the channel, you're going to get it sent to you. Make sure you set the notifications, because this is the time of year when we don't just talk politics. We also get to do some good for some really amazing kids. And we get to inspire a lot of these kids and remind them that, hey, there's people out there that are praying for them. They're not in this alone. We're all in it together. And that's why every single day we come out here and we talk politics and we talk about our enemies and we talk about the future and we say, here's what's up. Here's what we need to get done. Here's how we need to continue to stay strong, stay excited, stay enthusiastic, stay informed, stay entertained, and stay enlightened. Because if we do all of those things, then we will continue to fight against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and we will win. And we will always save the Republic. kayskids.com. kayskids.com. Go there, get your tickets, and we will see you December the 5th. If you're coming from out of town, we've worked out a deal with the hotel down the street. It's the best deal they have. Free breakfast included, so you can spend the night. If you're in town and you just want to get hammered, you can also get a room at the hotel. It's conveniently located right near Best Bet, stumbling distance from Best Bet. So make sure you get your tickets today. www.kayskids.com. There's also a link in the description of this video.